It is Sunday night. It is time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 32. We got a lot to get into here, and there's another smiling face that you've been missing for quite some time back on the show, starting right now. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, you are not seeing things. This is not a drill. The prodigal son has returned. He is back, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. It is good to be back. That was a quick and long 3 weeks that I was not with you, but I'm glad to see things were going well in my absence. Thanks to all that Thomas, Quint, AJ, thanks to all that really picked up the slack and reined Kyle in for 3 episodes while I was gone, so we didn't get booted off all of our streaming platforms. And I'm glad to be back. Well, I mean, nothing has really happened while I've been gone in the Auburn world, but it's very good to be back.
You chose the most inopportune, or just the easiest time to become a father and to have not be on the show for a few weeks, but we've managed. Any excuse that I can have to have Clint on the show and dog him is a good day, because as much as I love that dude, I love messing with him because he's so easy to mess with. I mean, he does it right back at me, so I don't know what the big deal is.
Oh, I mean, organizes a roast while I'm going for that, then yeah, he's definitely giving it right back to you.
Well, Austin, I hate to say this, but your audio just went out. You sound like a... Well, now I sound like a Saturday night.
Let me see.
What did you just do?
Can you get one out while I was listening to you? Okay. It works.
I don't know what it sounds like. I don't know but we both sound like a Saturday night drunk.
Okay, how's that sound?
Still slurring. It's like it slowed
Really?
down. Yeah, it's like it slowed us down and made us...
I haven't noticed any...
Interesting.
Like, you sound normal.
You sound like you've had one too many on the town. Like, you sound like you've just given, you've just had 2 children and you're tired. This is actually quite entertaining. I love this, actually. I don't know what it's going to sound like on the replay.
Do you want hilarious. It sounds like our comments are saying it's funky.
Try that, and then we'll go from there. This is a great start to you coming back. It's all part of the process, though.
Of course.
Give it a try. All right. So there's Austin. He was here. He's gone. We lied. Thank you all so much for your patience while we get that figured out. We don't know what really happened there. A lot of people were checking in. Use this as your check-in period. A lot of you already have. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Yeah, I thought it sounded funky to you guys, or it sounded funky to me. So I was like, surely it sounds bad to you guys. Is this the Star Wars episode? Did we sound like Darth Vader? Look, I don't know. All I know is I can't wait to go back and listen to the replay of this, because we could have some pretty interesting takes from this. Dennis Scott is here. He says, that's it. All right, let's try this one more time. Let's see if we can get Austin in here. There he is. Try it now.
All right, check. How
check, mic check. We are good.
That was bizarre.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought, wow, he is having a rough time in the first few weeks of being in the... It finally he held it together for the first like 2 minutes, and now it's really starting to come through.
Yeah, I nothing sounded weird on my end, but apparently everyone else thought the same. It
was literally like you were talking in slow-mo. You ever listen to a podcast on like 0.5 speed or something like that? It was like that, but it also sounded like scratchy too. So it was kind of, I think some people were saying Star Wars, like Darth Vader-esque or something like that. So
I wish I could experience this. I'll go back and watch it.
Hopefully it registers like on the replay and stuff like that. I don't know. All right. If you guys have any questions for Austin, we'll take them real quick here, but we got to get started, because as you can imagine, he is a busy man right now, and he is gracious enough to get back into the saddle here with us. So if you've got anything specific that you'd like him to hit on before we jump into that, we are going to talk about obviously his news. We're going to talk a little bit of some stuff that's been happening with Auburn baseball, some things that Austin experienced, but also we're talking about the B word, not babies. We are talking about that, but Buc-ee's. So all of those things, if you're wondering what he thinks about those, that's coming. But if there's anything that you'd like for him to touch on real quick, I can take maybe 1 or 2 questions and then we'll get out of here. Other than that, Austin, I hope that you didn't feel like I was running the show into the ground without you here.
Never. No, it was in good hands. I'm glad everything went well. And yeah, I mean, like we're going to talk about, there was a lot going on, and I'm excited to kind of see what we all get to talk about in the future. It's a busy time in
Yeah.
Auburn athletics world and Auburn University.
Got one question here. I haven't heard anything about this. Anything about the
I
Cincinnati
know
quarterback?
absolutely zero about any Cincinnati quarterback. I think there's a linebacker from Cincinnati on campus today. I know absolutely nothing about any quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Corey says he's disappointed in baseball. Why are you disappointed? They won the series today. You must maybe did you not get the memo?
If you didn't take your fans at all, it might have been disappointing because they sure tested the limits, but they got the win in 2 out of 3. So I don't really know how you're disappointed either. And I think Joseph Gonzalez is pretty close to coming back. So this team's getting hot.
I would hope so. Like we really, this is not a shot at our pitching staff, but we really need somebody.
My goodness.
We really need somebody. All right, final question before we get started. How many Auburn outfits do the babies have? I guess we could have talked about it in the show, but go ahead and answer it.
I'm trying to think. It's too many to count. They've worn a couple. They've worn the little footies, Auburn footies. They've got Auburn swaddles. There's no telling. They got Auburn hats. I mean, the limit does not exist, nor should it.
No, I would imagine you're probably doing a really good job of, I would say rotating, but you're not. There's not much rotation when every outfit is Auburn, probably. But all right, I think we have gotten this thing off to a good start here. We got through our technical difficulties at the end. Happy to have Austin back. So we're going to move into our recording right now. As a reminder, just keep in mind that we won't be taking hardly any questions or comments during that, but stay afterward. I will be hanging around to just hang out with you for a few minutes after the show is over, about 30 minutes. We got 3 10-minute segments, and we will start this now. So, Austin, if you are ready, we'll get rolling.
Ready to go.
3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience. It includes a wide variety of things, people, places, and babies. It includes so many different things, and we're going to try to capture all of that here because at its core, it is all about its sports. The Auburn experience is all about culture, and that Auburn experience is all about family, and that's what we try to talk about here. Because it's all about family, I got to have an Auburn family member here with me to talk about these things. And ladies and gentlemen, back in the saddle, once again, I'm going to use this phrase probably one time and one time only because it's only appropriate here. Daddy's home. Austin Scott is here.
Oh man, yeah. One time only is probably as much as that needs to be used. I just like to cue the Bruce Pearl soundbite that I'm back, and so I'm back. And it was a quick 3 weeks and a long 3 weeks, all in one. But it's good to be back. I mentioned this pre-show. Thank you to Clint, Thomas, and AJ for coming on and being with Kyle. In the meantime, they did a fantastic job, and I'm just thankful that we're on episode 32 and this thing didn't crash and burn. The Rudy Johnson episode, by the way.
I was wondering if you were going to maintain that coming back through. So I'm happy to see that even during a 3 to 4 week sabbatical there, you have remembered your responsibilities and have kept up with your what you need to know coming into each show here. So let me, again, for those of you that may be listening to it for the first time, like, what are we talking about? Why is, Kyle calling Austin his daddy or things like that? Austin has given birth. He has not given birth. He has helped in the giving of birth of 2 beautiful twins for him and his wife. And we are just so happy for the 2 of you guys, and have been following your journey a little bit as we can through social media that you guys have shared. So he's been off for the last few weeks, and from our outside perspective looking in, things seem to be going great. And we're going to spend our first segment really diving into that and relating it back to Auburn stuff, because you, of course, you're an Auburn family. So you're going to have the twins' first moments into this world be about Auburn things. But just give us an update. How are things going with you guys, with the twins? We've missed you, so we want to know.
Yeah, Brooks Coley Scott and Barrett Gray Scott are doing great. They came 4 weeks ago tomorrow at 9:33 and 11:04 p.m. And they're doing fantastic. As you mentioned, I did not give birth. My rock star wife Emily gave birth, and she did so phenomenally. And everything went really well. And ever since, we've been figuring out our new lifestyle joyfully and without a lot of sleep. And so it's been fantastic. We've gotten to really be around a lot of family and have a lot of family and come by and see them and help us, which we're greatly thankful for. But it has been awesome. It has been everything I could have imagined and more. And I'm so excited for this next era of our life that the Lord has graciously allowed us to and entrusted these little boys with. So they're so fun. They're really hard, and it's really amazing all in one. But we have been around. If you know Emily and I well, we do not like to be staying in one place too long. We do not like to get cooped up. And so we had them on a little walk around downtown Auburn pretty early. We did go to Buc-ee's on opening day with our SUV of a twin stroller, and we just kind of made it happen. But we've been around, and we've really enjoyed it. I never thought that I could really enjoy being around Auburn more than I do, but getting to take them just adds a whole nother level I was not prepared for. So looking forward to more times hanging out with them, more to showing them more sights and sounds. And it's been fantastic so far.
We're gonna have to come up with like a mini segment, somehow. Like, what are the boys experiencing in Auburn for the first time? And I mean, it's a lot. They're not really taking a lot in that they're gonna remember right now. But I want to take something you said, and as we already addressed, they're very young right now. They're not going to remember any of this for a while. But there is something really cool about experiencing Auburn, the Auburn Experience podcast, with someone else for the first time. And as you mentioned, with two infants, it's kind of a unique thing because you'll get to do it all over again when they start realizing the significance of all these things. But you're getting to take these two boys around and show them off in their gear and all that kind of stuff. By the way, we talked about it pre-show. How many Auburn outfits have you already put them in? It's been about 3 weeks, right? So how many times have they been in an Auburn outfit?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to be able to tell. We've had Auburn swaddles out. We've had Auburn footies out, Auburn hats, T-shirts. They're well decked out and definitely look the part going to all our sights and sounds. So
is there a place in town in Auburn that you would recommend for the baby clothes? Anything off of Auburn baby clothes?
That's a good question. All the stuff at any of the bookstores are always super cute, and they always have your variety of sizes. So I think any of the bookstores is good, and then of course you can always find what you need online. But downtown bookstores for sure, J&M, and even Toomer's Corner. When we took the boys to Toomer's, it was a struggle not to buy more. But at some point you have to say no.
Yeah. See, that's the funny thing is you walk into stores as an adult and you're like, I want that. Can I afford it? Or do I need to afford this? But now I've got these two little ones that I want to buy all these little things for. It's like, yes. Do they need this other onesie of Aubie on it? Of course. Go along with the other 5 that they have.
Right.
So I don't know how you're going to manage it, because for me personally, trying to not buy something every time I walk into one of the stores or online or something that's related to Auburn is a struggle unto itself. But listen, it's for the kids now, right? Who cares?
Oh yeah, it's not for me. It's for the children. The children.
It is for the children. All right, so you've taken them around town. You've taken them Buc-ee's. We're going to talk actually about Buc-ee's in a little bit further, because I saved that segment for you because I knew you and I would have some fun with that one. what else have the boys experienced related to Auburn or anything
Yeah.
else in general?
Well, our first big outing was my wife loves beignets. That is her breakfast delicacy. If she could have it every day, she would. So Mobe Beignets
I was going to say, I
downtown
know where you're
Auburn.
going.
Mobe Beignets in downtown Auburn. That was like our first big. We're taking them somewhere,
Nice.
and so we did with my mother-in-law, and then we said, well, we're gonna. It's a beautiful day as it has been in Auburn the last few weeks. And so we went to Mobe Beignet, got some beignets, got our stroller out. We're doing our thing. We go to Toomer's drugstore. The boys did not have lemonade yet. I had lemonade, but we got the picture with them with the cup. We got the picture of them right there on the corner with Samford in the background. We do a little lap around Samford lawn, get all the pictures. So I mean that was their first big outing, albeit 30 to 45 minutes out of the house. But those are some big sights to see for us to see them in, I guess, around downtown Auburn. We have been to Boosackley's on Glendine, which is one of Emily and I's favorite spots. And we are not going to dive into the great fried chicken tender war of Auburn right now.
That's for another day.
That's for another day, but it is rampant inside the E2C Network family. And then last night we took them and met up with a couple of our friends to one of the newer places in Auburn, Botanic, and got to, it is where the old Cock of the Walk is. If you ever went there, over closer, I guess it's closer to Opelika, but it's in between. New area, kind of with more of the greenhouse farm to table area.
Okay.
They've got a restaurant, a patio with some live music, greenhouse. It's been big. It's been bubbling in the Auburn Opelika area, and so that was really great to get them out and kind of nighttime and see the things. And then, as you mentioned, we did go to opening day of Buc-ee's, which is a new Auburn site, but oh my goodness, has it been a busy one.
So literally, you have just taken them on a tour that you would take an adult on around the Auburn Opelika area. Like,
yes,
here. So in my mind, Austin, this is my ignorance here. I am not a father yet. Hopefully that will be not into the far distant future, and I don't live in Auburn yet. There's two big yets there.
Yes.
But I, in my mind, pictured you like holed away for 3 weeks, just trying to survive with one, if it was one, that'd be one thing, but two boys, I thought you'd be holed away, just like watching reruns of, I was going to say last season, but only like the last 4 games of last season or 3 games of last season with Cadillac or something like that, just trying to survive. But you guys have been out and around and experiencing Auburn. So that's really good.
I mean, there's no way we would have been able to be hold up. I think our sanity would have been lost long ago. So it was bold, and sometimes it wasn't always as nice and perfect as we would have liked it, and we had to just cut that trip a little short. But we got it. We've gotten them out, and we've gotten them, kind of moving them into our lifestyle and our routine, and it's been good. They've been champs about it, and not surprised at all. But it's been amazing.
Well, this will not be the last time we talk about the boys and mention the things that they're seeing for the first time, I'm sure. So there will be plenty of that talk coming up in future episodes. We'll get into it. And like I said, we'll just have to have like a mini segment about it. I don't know. We'll call it Daddy's Home or something like that, just to keep the tradition going. Let's talk a little bit more high level topics here. Some things that we more kind of get into traditionally when we don't have big news, such as Austin being a father. Let's talk about baseball, but not just how the baseball team is doing and what's going on there, but something that was a little bit unique, something that you experienced. And I got to be honest, though, before we do that, we got to handle business, Austin. Little birdie told me somebody wore a opposite color, opposite logo, the wrong jersey to their supposed favorite baseball team stadium. Is there anything that you would like to atone for, sir?
First off, when you said little birdie, did you even were you using that as Twitter? Because
I didn't.
That would have been very.
I should have just said that.
Very clever. You should have. Yes, it's true. For the very first time in my entire life, have I worn the logo of an opponent to an Auburn athletics event this past, or no, time runs together. Was it this past Tuesday?
Yes, that would be this past Tuesday. Yeah.
Look,
You got excuses.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that that's not held against me. This past Tuesday, the Samford Bulldogs came to Plainsman Park, and my cousin is the starting center fielder for the Samford Bulldogs. And I've always said that if he comes to town, I will wear Samford gear if he's starting and playing. And he was. Now, I had my brand new Auburn Frank Thomas hat on as well, and I got many a looks and many a questions. But Aaron Walton, my first cousin, was the freshman starting center fielder for the Samford Bulldogs in Plainsman Park. Had a rough day, 2 ground into double plays and a strikeout, and Auburn got the win. So, weird feeling, but I was glad Auburn won. Sad he had a rough day, but it was weird. It was really weird wearing other team's logo at an Auburn event. And I don't think it'll happen very often unless I have other family members that become D1 athletes, which I don't think are on the horizon. And the only exception I have is we're just not going to wear that other school. I don't care if you're the starting quarterback. It's just not happening.
Listen, that is the day that you and I cease this podcast. If I ever, I don't care if you lost a bet, if I catch you in any shade of crimson, that's
never.
We're done. Over with. So that was one cool element of that, or just interesting thing that I just wanted to make sure we handled the business of before we moved on. Not only were the Bulldogs in town, but literally the dogs were in town, because beyond this Samford game, and listen, there's moments where you look at somebody in the marketing position somewhere in Auburn, you go, I see what you did there. The Bulldogs come to town, it's Bark in the Park night. And you got to experience that, I'm sure, a little bit. Were the kids there that night? Were the boys there that night at this game?
No. This was just me. Emily let me go for half the game to see Aaron play. But yes, it was Bark in the Park. And for the first time I participated in, I think I've been to a game when it was Bark in the Park before, but had not brought my canine companion with me. And I did this time. I brought Harper, our 4-year-old golden retriever, with me to Bark in the Park, and she did phenomenal. I was very impressed and a little nervous going into it, but she did great. There were tons of dogs there. I heard on the radio broadcast Andy Burcham and I don't know how they got this number. Well, you did have to enter with a waiver, so I guess they just counted up the waivers. 191 dogs were at Plainsman Park. A lot of canines, and from all sizes and all voice levels. But it was interesting. It wasn't as chaotic as I thought it was going to be, but it was very interesting to be around that many animals in a athletics event.
Well,
setting.
And you think about it too, the logistics of just managing people, but then you've got to manage animals too. So you understand why this is like a once a year thing. It's like, okay, look, we got out of this without any big incidents. Well, I'm sure there were some big incidents on the ground, but anything wrong. So we got out of it. Let's just do it one time a year, and great marketing on their part. I will say, from my personal experience, just watching the game from afar I watched it on TV and listened to the radio at times. And I would hear a dog every once in a while, and when they would scan, you'd see them and stuff like that. Sure. But I didn't really notice that much of a difference. There was one time that I was like, what's that barking? Is a Georgia fan in town or something like that? I mean, only grown adults that bark are Georgia, because Samford people don't really do that, to my knowledge. Do they bark at all?
Not that I'm aware of. What I think we've mentioned, I worked there for a year. I never witnessed that. I think they held themselves to a little bit higher standard. But I've never witnessed that in person. But there were some outspoken dogs there for sure that I'm sure caught the mics on the radio and TV broadcasts.
Outspoken is certainly one way of saying it. So would you give any expectations, advice, whatever, to someone that's coming to a Bark in the Park, whether it's at Auburn baseball or softball, or I don't know if they do it at any other athletic events, anything to expect that you experienced?
Not really. I'm trying to think. I was sitting next to my father, and then there were people in their normal season ticket seats around us that did not bring their dogs. But I mean, it was certainly congested, but I don't think anyone had any really issues being around. And it was a midweek game, so if we're being honest, there was plenty of seats if you wanted to move away from an animal. And so I thought it went well. I know I saw in the email they had like an area where you could take them to go to the bathroom and drink water and that kind of thing. We didn't go down there, but I thought it went well. I was very impressed with kind of how subtle it was. It wasn't like everybody knew it was Bark in the Park the entire time,
Yeah.
but it was pretty smooth sailing. And I don't know how softball went the next day. We did not venture out twice, but I thought it went great.
Yeah, it's a really unique event. Obviously, it gives people yet another reason to come out to these midweek games because even though they're not the most exciting matchups usually, now sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes they can be a little bit unnerving the ways you would want to be, but they're really important during the middle of the week for us to continue streaks, to get back on the right track as Auburn had been over the past week, not having a so great time, and kind of got back on the right track, beating Stanford, winning now the series with Mississippi State. So obviously it didn't impede anything. The players, those that chose to come and things otherwise. I don't know that I could venture to bring a dog that I had there just because I would feel responsible for like my dog barking at right when they're swinging or something like that and messing them up. And, I also would feel ashamed if I was you wearing the opposite colors coming to the baseball game, but that is what it is at this point.
It is what it is. I was glad to see Aaron and glad to see him get to play D1 baseball. That was super cool. But it was a weird feeling. I cannot lie.
Can I ask, how old is Aaron, you said?
Aaron this is his freshman year. Yeah.
Any chance Aaron,
Well, I mean, it was.
I know you got to be careful when you
Auburn,
talk. You got to be careful when you
actually,
talk about these things.
you do, and I actually spoke with our friend Clint at the game. He came and we talked there, and I was very obvious about my shirt, and so he noticed. And but we did discuss. I mean, there's a recent Sanford to Auburn baseball pipeline.
That's why I'm asking.
That has been, and so one can hope. One can hope.
Then you could actually wear the correct jersey, the correct shirt.
Happily.
Now, that's going to present a conundrum like we dressed if he ends up going to the other school, coming to Auburn.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be watching you like a hawk on that day, sir. Holding you to it, showing you this clip and saying, listen, you said it. So hold your end of the bargain. Do not wear that shirt.
No.
But regardless, baseball right now is obviously in a better swing, and Bark in the Park in some ways contribute to that. So as long as it results in Auburn winning, I don't care. Let's have more Bark in the Park. Just none of the incidents we talked about, the cleanup incidents.
Yeah, we don't want to make anything more difficult for our cleanup crews, more sticky or stinky.
The only crappy situations we want are for the other team, but we'll leave that at that.
We could do this for a long time.
I could keep going if you want me to.
I know.
I'll stop. All right, let's talk about our last topic tonight. We're going to move away from athletics specifically, but we'll find a way to work it back in there somehow. The big B word. Again, I'm going to use the pun one more time, not babies. We already talked about that. We're talking about the Beaver. Bucky Beaver has arrived in Auburn. I have been waiting about 2 weeks to talk about this with you since it's happened. Now, if you've been at E2C Network on social media, if you've been here on YouTube, home base, and seen that we put out some video, that got another video about that coming out too, and maybe even something else coming out down the line. We'll see. I told you, I warned people, we are about to be overloaded with Bucky Beaver on this channel, on this network. I'm probably to a fault. I probably need to back off a little bit. But since you and I are back together, and since your two children now have gone there, let's talk about Bucky's. People have seen some of my experiences, so I'd like you to open up and just talk about having that in Auburn, why it's a big deal. Just what do you think?
Oh, yeah. I have been to Bucky's before this Auburn one came a couple weeks ago. I think I'd been maybe just twice, to one near the beach and That's probably the only one. I've probably been there twice. There's one closer to where I grew up, but I haven't been to it yet. Um, I mean, the first time I ever went in it, I'd heard about it and heard the things. Had very much the opinion of, okay, it's just a gas station. I've been to big truck stops. What are we
What's up
looking
with
at
this
here?
cult?
Exactly. I mean, how much of an issue we have? I was amazed the first time I went. Couldn't believe there was this much stuff. Couldn't believe there were that many gas pumps, and couldn't believe that there was actually good food that you wanted to have at a Buc-ee's.
Couldn't believe
So
Auburn's next greatest statue would be a beaver
the
in
beaver,
the.
and so yeah, so we knew what we were getting into when we decided to go um, on the opening day. Emily and I took our boys on the opening day to Buc-ee's. By God's great divine intervention, there was a parking spot that opened up as right by the front of the door, and so it was an easy move in. People everywhere, but we looked around all the clothes, all the toys, all the everything, got the full experience. We ended up getting Emily got the club sandwich. I
That
think is what it's called.
winner, not chicken dinner, but winner whatever. She picked the
Amazing.
best thing. I told you it's the best thing.
I was amazed. I had one bite of hers because that's all there was going to be, and I had a chopped brisket sandwich.
That's good too.
It was very good. That club though everybody always talks about that brisket sandwich, but that club is different.
It is.
And look, we can keep it underrated as long as they keep it stocked. I'm not gonna tell you the dollar amount we spent, Kyle, but it's embarrassing. But we got some beef jerky, which I love the Buc-ee's beef jerky. We got beaver
Yep.
chips, the baked chips. We did not get the beaver nuggets this time. Emily likes the beaver nugget. They were giving out free samples though, so you can bet we took some.
Yep.
And I think we got something to drink. But I mean, it was fantastic. I love that it's here. Emily and I have both talked. I'm not sure how often we're going to be going over that way. It's about 10 minutes from where I live, and not really on the way to anything unless I'm going toward Montgomery. But I mean, it's just going to do great. I can't imagine.
It's going to do amazing.
I brought up so many times, sir. I cannot imagine how much money they made on that first day. But once we hit football season,
Oh my
Kyle,
gosh.
it's just printing money. It's just printing.
This is one of the things that I spent all day there, basically. Literally, you and I missed each other probably by 30 minutes. I'm kind of sad I didn't text you, but I was trying to give you your space that you needed during baby, initial.
You probably didn't think that I would be crazy enough to take my, let's see, week-old twins to Buc-ee's. So
Austin, I know you better than that. I know you're that crazy. But anyway, it was, I'm glad you went because it was a sight to behold. I was there from opening moments. I was about number 15 in line, something like that. Got a free throw blanket. Jessica loves that now. Let me just disclaimer. I like Buc-ee's. I'm so happy it's part of Auburn. That's why we're talking about here. My wife is a fanatic about Buc-ee's. Like, she is one of the cult members. I'm the one that likes to instigate the cult member and just kind of like watch her go crazy. So obviously I like it and all that stuff, and then it's growing more in my love for it. That club sandwich, like you talked about. Oh, another little thing. Did you check out the kolaches? You know what a kolache is?
I do know what a kolache is. I did not check them out though.
For those of you that don't know, and there's different types, but the one I'm talking about, sausage and cheese. It's basically a pig in the blanket that's closed off. And yes, when they ask you, do you want it heated up? The answer always is yes. My goodness. Holy mess. Like, so there's so many things there. We're going to mention them all the time, but so I was there from opening moments, got to see the mad rush, and you can find a lot of that footage here on our YouTube channel and stuff like that. Even got to go back into the kitchen area and with their master chef guy, and he let me get like close up of them chopping up brisket and stuff. So it was it was a wild day at Buc-ee's. I'm going to butcher his last name. Maybe you know it better than mine, but the Auburn equipment manager for basketball, Kevin Furr I think is how you say it. Is that?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Kevin, if I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. But I think me and him bond over that a little bit over social media, because he apparently loves it just as much as everybody else. Like, he went and got a full Buc-ee's outfit. I saw that he shared on social media. Like, I think it was like a swim shorts and like shirt that goes with it. I mean, people were going nuts over this, like celebrities. Tommy Tuberville came for the opening.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it was about as Auburn as it could be for a company that doesn't really, you could tell they don't want to make it about Auburn and Alabama, but they've got a small little section where there was the other Crimson stuff there too. I guess they got to be fair and all that. And there was an Alabama fan or two, as some people pointed it out, that I saw. Why would you show up on opening day?
It's our favorite game. Can you find one at any public event? Yes.
Yeah, it's just like, why? Why are you here? Like, we're not gonna like not let you come in or anything like that, but just why? It just doesn't make sense, especially on a significant day like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I had an incredible experience. I was overwhelmed with the response and the amount of people that were coming in and out. Went to the opening ceremony, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was just nuts. Now, I think we had started talking about this point, and let's bring it back to this and why it's important for sports and things like that. You mentioned opening just football season, but imagine opening weekend for Auburn football. Do math real quick, Kyle. Almost a little over 3 months away, 4 months away. Can you imagine what they're gonna do in food sales? Yeah, let's throw gas sales and food sales out, because that's a given. But they sell, smokers. They smell. They smell really good.
They do.
They sell all kinds of tailgating stuff. Let's just put it at that. The amount of merchandise that is going to be moved at the Auburn Buc-ee's is incredible. And it's interesting, and if we want to kind of put this into the Iron Bowl perspectives, that they chose Auburn and not Tuscaloosa. I don't think that's a coincidence. I'm just saying.
Both have an interstate exit for it, and a heavily populated and trafficked interstate exit. So I think the exit they put it on is genius. They're going to get so much travel from, if you just think about it's the easy way to get to the beach.
Right.
You think about easy way to get to the Atlanta airport. But I mean, my goodness, like you said, opening weekend, the first game of Auburn football, there's going to be people just traveling in general, right? And coming that way for the game. But everybody knows it's there too. And people, and by this point, like you said, it's going to be 4 months of people hearing about the Buc-ee's in Auburn. From the minute they open on that Friday till they close on, which do they close? They don't close, do they?
They do not close.
No. So, Friday at 4 a.m, all the way until, I always wonder how long people stay in Auburn, because I see the RVs pull out like Tuesday and they're back again Thursday. I'm like, what degree got you that job? Because I wasn't in the right one. But just Friday, you think about the 5 days every weekend they're going to get from Auburn home games. I would love to see the numbers. We'll never get to see that, Kyle, and we'll never get to really, gawk at that. But I would love to know.
Well, I want to say that because I don't know that it's going to happen. I may try to set up a conversation with someone from Buc-ee's, whether it's an Auburn specific Buc-ee's person or whatever. But I want to have this conversation. Do y'all realize what's about to happen? Like, I get that y'all do well wherever you go.
Yeah,
clearly, because you're expanding everywhere. I mean, I literally found out about this a few years ago. As my two brothers, one's still in Texas, but at the time both were in Texas. They introduced it to us. And I think it was like just a handful of them in Texas. And then before you knew it, they were coming out here. There was the one down on the way to Gulf Shores. There was the one up in Athens coming up. They're in Georgia. And then all of a sudden they've just taken over Alabama. And of course they go to the best place, Auburn, and not Tuscaloosa. We're going to continue to remind our brethren across the state that they have to come to us. Well, they can go to a couple other locations, but traditionally you can come to us for your Buc-ee's fix, and we'll remind you and make fun of you for coming in your Alabama gear to the Auburn Buc-ee's. But it's going to be a cool experience for the forever, I guess, because I don't see the monster that is Buc-ee's going anywhere, and it is going to be fun to watch how that unfolds as part of our Auburn experience.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I think, you want to think further down the line. That exit, for those that don't know, that's really all there is. That's all there is on that exit.
Yeah.
You can take a right off the interstate and get on College that's way past Chewacla, and go left past Buc-ee's. That'll get you all the way kind of closer to Wire Road and in town. But that is all that is on that immediate exit after the interstate. So it'll be interesting to see what comes and wants to, pitch their flag next to Buc-ee's to take some of that business too, or feed off of it. So that might be our next busy exit in the Auburn Opelika area.
Well, it's not like the other ones are busy enough as it is, and that used to be a nice little quiet exit where you could kind of back in, come into Auburn, and now,
nope.
Game day is just never going to be the same. I think it's on
Never.
exit 51. Little exit 51 is just never going to be the same again.
That's right.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Auburn Experience 32. Daddy is back home, back in the saddle, and happy to have Austin back with us as much as he can be. So you guys just be patient with him as he adjusts to life with twins. And we will have many more conversations about that, sports, culture, and family here coming up throughout the summer and beyond. Austin, if you want to share with anybody where they can find stuff about you and your adventures that are going on right now, where can they find you?
Austin G. Scott is where you can find me for plenty of baby pictures, plenty of twin pictures, and more to come, I'm sure.
Yep. And you can find me on Twitter at Kyle Loomis24, where you won't find baby pictures, but you'll find plenty of other random things. Probably not as cute as baby pictures, but it's out there, and I do some things on there. Till we guys talk to you again, thank you so much for being here, and War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right. That is the show. Austin, you are free, sir. Go get some rest. Thanks for hanging out with us for episode 32.
Thanks so much. Good to see everyone, and thanks for having me back.
All right. See y'all. Talk to you soon. All right, folks. It's just me and you again. Please post your comments and questions that you'd like for us to address on here. This now morphs into more of a informal Wednesday night type show. We won't be taking calls, but we will be, talking about anything that you want to talk about on here. So don't be shy. Jump in. I see a lot of comments and questions already that we'll go back and hit. But for the next little under 20 minutes, we'll just hang out and talk Auburn stuff. Anything. Got a lot of people that checked in during that time. I see WT, Angela, who else is here? Chris, Unbeaten Lake. A lot of people who are already here. I think I said hello to already, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight and being part of a live stream here. Motion to rename the channel the E2C Network. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. If they want to pay some money, I will change that. Angela, yes. Thanks again. And as always, we tell your son we continue to wish them good luck in baseball season. Happy they got a win today. You're going to have to visit it if you haven't. Again, if it's breakfast, go get you the kolache, sausage and cheese kolache, lunch or dinner, the club. And, it's it's not a typical gas station at all. It's a crazy gas station. You can find anything you want there. The snacks are just out the wazoo. And then it's a store basically too. I don't even want to call it a convenience store because it's not a convenience store. Let's see here. Oh, the bathrooms are, immaculate too. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. I'm trying to see what you guys were talking about. Auburn is the only SEC baseball team to have a Hall of Famer, that being Frank Thomas. Doesn't that feel like that's a weird thing to me? Not that it's wrong in any way, but to me, it almost feels like as much great baseball is currently played, but even historically amongst the SEC, that there would be more major leaguers that have made it to the Hall of Fame, like maybe one or two more, but that's one thing that Auburn still is a claim to fame. The only major league Hall of Famer from the SEC. And that's awesome. And it's our guy, Frank Thomas. Just saw that you posted that, W2. That's funny. That's real funny. Let's see what else. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else on here from during the show. Oh, Devin's sharing barbecue sauce on Twitter. Ooh, nice. All right, Chris says, TJ Finley, make him an O-line guard. Your thoughts on this 9th-year senior? Now, Chris, we're going to be nice here. No, I think you've been along here enough. We're not going to dog, and I know you're having fun. But, TJ Finley, to me, I want him to do what's best for him. And I think he's going to do that. Now, I think what you're probably having fun with is there was apparently a post made this week by him. I didn't see it for myself, but I saw plenty of people talking about it. And if what people were saying about it is true, it probably wasn't the best decision. I frankly didn't care to investigate it. So I didn't see it for myself. I do think it is obvious that the writing seems to be on the wall for TJ. If Auburn does bring in a transfer quarterback, he probably does need to move on, because I think that kind of answers the question if he's going to have a opportunity here or not. And you got to think that Auburn's trying to find someone, right? I mean, everybody talks about Grayson McCall. Everybody talks about this quarterback, that quarterback. Once they get through their spring, they're going to see that they're not in line to win the starting job and come in. So, I would say if you're a betting person, which I don't advocate for, but if you are a betting person, you're probably putting on the odds that is Auburn brings in a quarterback of some sort, even if it's just to supplement who's here, right? Whether that's a legitimate starter, quote unquote. I still think that it's Robbie Ashford's job to lose at this point, and it should be, because I think he has shown that he has the talent and the ability to be successful under the right scheme and tutelage. Now, TJ, I don't know. I'm happy that he's given it a shot, and I'm happy that he is not just making a rash decision to get out of Dodge when there was a change made, and not to say that's necessarily a wrong decision either. I just think, for the most part, I've liked the way he's handled a tough situation. And then there are probably some other things reportedly that probably weren't the best way to handle it, but to each their own. Let's see here. Yeah, Corey, that's kind of what I was referring to. Vandergriff, I think his name is, the backup who's going to lose the job to the other one. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've said this a lot, and I'm going to keep saying it because everybody, it's, and I shouldn't say that. No, I'm not going to say it. Anyway, the question's asked a lot, what do you think about this person? What do you think about that person? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if they want to be here and they're a good fit for the system, then Coach Free's going to bring them in. But that remains to be seen if they are a good fit and if they even want to be here. My biggest thing is Auburn is best served for people who want to be here and not just want a spot to a position on a team. I'm so torn with TJ. Of course, I want to support him because he was here at Auburn, but his attitude just doesn't help him sometimes. What would you mean by his attitude? The only other thing that I can think of to reference is the whole sitting out the rest of the year, whether or not how the logistics of that happened or whatever. There was all that talk. Is he part of the team? Is he not part of the team? But then he'd be on the field, and he didn't have a locker towards the end of the year. So that was an interesting thing there. But there are other players that did that type of thing. And everyone's like, I hope they come back. I think it's just the typical thing that we have with quarterbacks, that we love them and then we hate them. I wish it wasn't that way, but that's just the way it is. They get the most blame, and they get celebrated a whole lot when they are winning. Unbeaten Lake, another big story from this week. Saw that. That was like Monday, wasn't it? Charles says he wants to switch to Nike. Bo probably would be in for it also. Could they convince the athletics department to change? I mean, when you're Bo and Charles, you have a lot of pool. Not like swimming pool, but pool as in your opinion matters, but to what degree? There's so much more that goes into these decisions. Clint is way more knowledgeable on this than me. We've had a few times where we've talked about this. If you guys will go back on our channel and just search, I think it's like Under Armour. Just type in Under Armour on our channel in E2C or something like that, and you can find the conversation where we had about this type of thing. It was like a year and a half ago or something like that. I'll be honest with you guys. I've said this several times. I am an Under Armour fan, mainly because it's a big enough for now company to be reputable. It's not just, I hate to say it, but Russell, what do they even do anymore? But it's also different enough. And I like Auburn to be different. I do. I'm sorry. I just like for us to blaze our own trail. It's why I liked and pushed that we not hire Alabama acolytes or Nick Saban acolytes for when we have open positions for head coaches and such. I like us to blaze our own trail. Now, listen, if they say Nike is the best way for us to go going forward, sure. Well, what do I know? They have all the information they need to make that decision. They know based on their projections how well this company is or isn't doing, and they're going to be able to make the best decision for Auburn. So my opinion in it doesn't matter, but I can just tell you what my opinion is that I'm a fan of the Under Armour situation. Now, you can get into whether it's actually good quality stuff and all that kind of stuff. I just think of it in terms of I like being different, and it's a big enough company for us to be different with. Let's see here. The only thing that will get the athletics department to change from UA to Nike is money. I mean, money talks. If we did change, I would like us to do something different from Nike. I mean, Nike's Nike, product wise, you can't really go wrong with it, but I like for us to be different from Alabama and their Nike. I know it's petty. I know it's a stupid reason, but I'm just being honest. Devin says no Nike. All right, going back to the TJ discussion here. From the coach's perspective, I want the best fit that will take you the furthest as a foundation to build upon. Maybe that's Robbie, because he's got the furthest to go, right? Furthest to go in terms of time that you had to develop him. If you bring in one of these guys that's maybe had 2 years under them, maybe looking at a 1-year bounce on, then you have maybe another restart after that. That and the interview he gave just sounded a little entitled, but I also think some people were looking for a reason to rag on him, so they took it negatively. Yeah, unfortunately, TJ's in a position, right or wrong, that he's become that type of figure. And so, yes, I think some people are looking for reasons to be upset, but not that it's making that hard for them to find those reasons too. I just want what's best for TJ because he's still a member of the Auburn family. Once you're not part of the Auburn family, that's okay. And I'm kidding. But as long as you don't do anything to hurt Auburn, I will always advocate for you. And you're not being a horrible person. So many caveats you have to say these days without someone taking something out of the wrong way. Let's see here. Aeropostale contract. WT, I feel like is it you that always makes this comment when this conversation comes up? I feel like it's you or it's somebody else. It's funny. The Yellowwood jerseys. He pays the big bucks. So yeah, he gets whatever he wants. Can you send me the link? So Chris, you're on YouTube, it looks like. In the description link, you will find the link to the Patreon, or you can go to patreon.com/E2C Network. That's all you need. The link is available for you in the description. Anything that you need, if you're interested in finding out more stuff about us, joining the Patreon thing, anything is down there. And I appreciate you considering that, Chris. There are different levels for that and all that kind of stuff. You can be on here. So check all that out. Yeah, Devin, I think I know why you wouldn't want to spend a cent on Nike. The one problem, I'm going to quote, maybe I shouldn't. There's a prominent person that has made a really good point about, and I'm not saying you're saying boycott. You've made a personal choice about, I think I'm saying this right about your choices, Devin, but a lot of people have written off Nike because of certain things, and I don't disagree with some of those decisions. The problem with boycotting something, it makes it very hard to be consistent because you'll find something else for another company that you're ignoring. It's kind of like, Kyle, you are dancing on some. No, I'm going to be good tonight. I'm not going to open up a can of worms. But if that's why you're not wanting the Nike thing, then I understand. But those other companies are going to find other reasons too. And W, what is up? And W is on Patreon. Thank you so much for being a Patreon member. Somebody was just asking about Patreon. That's why I was mentioning that when you came in here. By the way, if you are a member of the Booster Club, we're going to have like another yearly meeting of the minds where I invite you guys just to come on and talk to me personally about what you want to see us do and things like that. And we'll give you guys some perspectives on what we're thinking about doing. And then I kind of want to do some new special things for Patreon. I don't have an idea what some of those would be, but it's your Booster Club. Maybe it won't be called Booster Club anymore. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, if we boycotted every company for these reasons, we wouldn't be able to buy anything. Yeah, as long as it's a personal choice for whoever on boycotting something, or just even not making a big deal about it and say, I just choose not to. There is plenty of companies and people that I don't associate with, but don't make a big deal about. And I think that's the best way to go about some of those things. Just make the personal choice. Don't contribute if you don't like them. Thomas, do you foresee a football commitment coming this week from the transfer portal visits? I'm trying to think back through who's coming. The TCU guy is supposedly coming. I think that was confirmed tonight. Is there anybody else I'm missing? Anybody else I'm missing, guys, that you know in the chat? Just trying to think through our wide receiver situation. Oh, excuse me. Tavares Dawson left, so that's effectively a spot for him to fill. I guess it really is just a question of, does the TCU guy feel like he's going to come in and start right away? And I think Auburn's got a lot of wide receivers with some upside here. We've been waiting for one of them to be the guy for quite some time, and it hasn't happened. Now, we've had some guys that have showed out in certain times, like Javaris Johnson has had some of that. Coy Moore probably didn't have a breakout game, but it's shown some really good moments. Nick Martiner's here. I guess I'm taking the long way to get there. I don't know who else he's looking at. Thomas, I think you've been here long enough. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about these guys until they actually commit. So that's always going to be my boring answer for these things, but please feel free to ask them. I'd be 50-50 on it right now is kind of what I'm getting at. I wouldn't have taken wide receiver as an area that we necessarily needed to go with. However, if there's a talent that wants to come to Auburn, quote Coach Freeze again, if they want to be here and they fit what we want to do and they can help us, which this guy might be, sure, bring them on in. For those that not in the know, E2C used to do a show on uniforms. We still do it. We still do them with Clint whenever they're appropriate and time sensitive and all that kind of stuff. Someone suggested Aeropostale. So you're running with that joke that someone suggested. I got you. The Dustbuster thing. Yes. O-line visitors. Now that is an area where that was an area that was pointed out by Coach Freeze of still wanting some help. So that feels more likely to happen. Who I couldn't tell you. But that feels like an area where you would see a commitment. I mean, I don't get I'm not on any websites and probably won't be for the foreseeable future. Not because I don't believe they don't do a good job. And I share this all the time. I used to be really into recruiting, and it became an idol in my life. And I realized I can't have the whims of an 18-year-old or a now 20-year-olds in the transfer portal make or break my happiness. And that's why I kind of chose to distance myself from that. So I pay attention to it, and I get a lot of the same information you guys see, but I'm not on any websites or things like that. And I pay attention to the very important people that are in the know about those things. And every once in a while, I get privy to a few things just with connections and stuff like that. Do you foresee us getting a TT transfer? Are you talking about, is that short for that guy's name? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, I think we're going to get another transfer because we've got the spots open in basketball. I don't know that high. I guess maybe that hire you're saying might help. It's a really good hire. If you haven't watched our video on it, please do. The more we gave you 10 facts to know about him, I think the Corey Williams hire is probably speculatively one of the better hires that coach has made in quite some time. And he's not had to make a lot of those choices because people have stayed for a while. But this feels like a really good one, just from coaching basketball standpoint. But yeah, it feels really good. The Texas Tech one. Oh, what's this guy's name? I can't remember. Right now, it kind of feels like it's waffling back and forth. I see more fans say when I start seeing fans saying he needs to go ahead and commit, that to me is usually a telltale sign that something's not going the right way. It's not always the case, but I feel like when fans are openly saying that there's a reason they haven't committed. It tells me that they probably should have already committed if they were going to. And for whatever reason, haven't. It would make sense that Montgomery is going after the Tulsa one where he came from. So that might be the one that you see happening before any others. I think the question from Thomas was earlier, do you foresee him commit this week? So if we're talking about that wide receiver guy, I think it was written that he was going to take his visit and then decide before, like in the middle of the month of May. So that would be several weeks out. Now, maybe he gets here and he's like, hey, man, this place is awesome. Have you seen our facility? Then maybe he could. Maybe he would decide then. I thought Devin already committed to Oregon. Did that change? I actually did a good job of disconnecting a lot this week. Well, let's Google it and find out. I thought Devin Cambridge committed to Oregon. Oregon basketball lands commitment from ASU starting wing Devin Cambridge. That's the first article that pops up. Has anything changed on that front? They got Oquendo too? Oh, wow. Oquendo was from Georgia, right? He was in the SEC this year. Wow, that's a pretty good pickup. You got Devin Cambridge and Oquendo? Woo, buddy. Some people continue to seem to be panicking about the changes happening in basketball. Yeah, listen, I get it on some level, but I also feel like it's been around long enough with this transfer portal that you should understand the departures don't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. And I agree with this too. He has given you very few reasons, if any, to worry about it. All right, let's wind down our conversation here. It's a little bit late, but we appreciate you guys being here. Last minute comments and questions, get them in right now. Let me go ahead and tell you what you need to be anticipating this week, what we got coming up. First off, if you actually stay here at the end of the show, it'll take you to a preview page for the next upcoming live stream, and you can go ahead and hit the like button. You can go ahead and hit the notify me bell button. I know it seems silly to do that, but if you can, it's a great way to help us get started off to a good start with those live streams. Auburn baseball live stream, where we're going to talk about this Mississippi State series win. After the Troy game, we'll talk about that, and then look ahead to South Carolina. So join us for that. That is Tuesday at 8, or excuse me, not 8, right after the end of the Troy game. We are going to do an Auburn Family Night this week. However, the time is up in the air because I have some scheduling conflicts. May do it as early as 7, but know that right now the plan is still to do a Auburn Family Night on Wednesday, possibly at 7 Eastern time. As always, check out those links in the description for ways that you can help support us here at E2C Network. Got all kinds of things in there. You can be a subscriber. You can be a channel member for $1 a month. Somebody asked about the Booster Club on Patreon a little while ago. That's all down there in the description. Don't have to do any of that. We appreciate those of you that can and do those things, but we just appreciate you being here, smashing the like button, and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Let's see here. Any other final comments and questions? I want Cleveland. Cleveland is better than Detroit. I mean, I don't know Cleveland and Detroit, the cities, that well, but I know Detroit's reputation. Matthew Cleveland, the basketball player, it felt like he was going to commit like a week ago or something like that, but that's slowed down a little bit. I don't know. There's still a lot of cards on the. I keep hearing that Auburn basketball isn't done yet. That's what I'm being told. And that's Trevon Reed too. So we'll see what goes on there. And yes, War Eagle to his surrogate AU family, Bucky's E2C for life. Guys, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me here on the Auburn Experience for Austin earlier. Happy to have him back in the saddle. And you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. And we appreciate you so much for being here. Smash that like button on the way out. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.